Home is where connections are made, memories are formed, and ideas are born. And no one knows home better than NFM. Thanks for tuning in to I Am Home, the podcast that goes deeper than trends and dives into what it means to make your house a home.
Welcome to I Am Home, the Home Life Best Life podcast. I'm Tyler Weiskup, joined by my co-host who shines brighter than 3,000 lumens on a white wall. It's Becca Sudbeck.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Becca. And our other co-host, projector, we hardly knew her. It's Hilary Waltemath.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Hilary. Today, we're turning down the lights and turning up the home theater vibes. We're talking projectors, but not just brands. We're breaking down the specs that really matter so you can confidently pick the right projector for your home. Whether you're shopping for movie night or gaming, or you're just setting up your dream backyard setup, this episode is for you. And to help us make sense of it all, we've brought back two NFM pros that we've had on the podcast before. We're really excited to have them. Erik Palacio.
Hello, hello. Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Erik. And then Tullis.
Starting to feel like home, baby.
That's what we want. I love this. Okay, but before we jump in, let me tell you why we're even doing this podcast, and that's because NFM is more than just your everything home store. We're in the business of improving lifestyles because your home life should be your best life. And you can learn more at nfm.com. So projectors, I feel like they used to be mystery tech that just existed in like school classrooms and conference rooms, and only one guy knew how to work on. And
True.
or it was in a one percenter's house. But today, I feel like they are, more powerful, they're more affordable, and they're easier to use than ever. The only hard part is just understanding some of like the specs and just knowing like what's going to make sense for your space. So that's what we want to kind of dive into today in our breakdown, one of our favorite segments where we're going to decode must-know features so that you can shop smarter. So we talked about this beforehand and felt like a good place to jump in was resolution, brightness, throw distance, screen size, and light source. So we're hopefully going to hit some of those topics today, but I'm curious, just level setting. I know that we're in summertime. Projectors are probably a hot item for a lot of people. Love to watch them when they're outside. Let's talk a little bit about that. I know that Cliff, you were saying that NFM has been doing quite a good business in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So outdoor projection, portable projection, that's all becoming very popular. Like you mentioned before, it's more attainable than it was in the past. Whether it's the cost, whether it's the space that people have, especially with people staying in their homes, they're upgrading instead of moving out and doing things like that. So this is a really nice lifestyle upgrade that's attainable, affordable, right? And portable. It makes it very, very nice. It doesn't take up a ton of space. It's not mounted forever all the time, right? You can hide it very easily without having to remodel your entire home. You can upgrade very, very easily. It's a nice thing. Yeah.
Feels fun. Like you have got a little bit of a theater experience.
Right. And it's feels upscale, to be honest, right? Yeah. Like you said, it's still the thought there, but you see the price tag and you're like, oh, I can kind of afford
I can manage
this, right?
that.
I can manage that, right? So, so it is a nice upgrade to a lifestyle. It just adds such a little touch of elegance to wherever you want to put it, whether it's outdoor or indoor, right? So,
yeah, absolutely. Erik, you've worked on a lot of these projects recently. Like, is there a favorite part for you when you're kind of helping outfit this kind of space?
Yeah. So, kind of again, my background is coming from, being with the customer the entire way, from the initial site survey to like picking out every single piece. I really, really like doing the design stuff, figuring out, hey, you have this really nice space. Maybe it is a dedicated theater room, or maybe it's a mixed use room. What setup is going to work best? What do you want it to do? Like, what do you see your end goal as? We've have been super busy with projection, tagging onto what Cliff was saying. It's fun, it's exciting, it's a lot more attainable than what it used to be, and we've seen a lot of growth with it. And when it's done right, phenomenal. It looks so good. Oh my gosh, I love it when it goes right.
Yeah, and it usually does with Erik on the job.
Yes, absolutely. I can sign a piece of paper that says that. Yes.
All right, so let's talk about resolution. I think most people know, like, it's pixels. It's about like how many pixels there are, more pixels, more detail. And projectors, typically they're coming in like 1080, 4K, and I think like the term is 4K enhanced. And I wonder if we can kind of break down those terms for people.
Yeah, nailed it. The other option that's out there that's new, that's trickling into the market, is on top of 4K. There's the 8K that is available.
Yeah.
We have a vendor that actually has an 8K E-Shift, that you were kind of leading on. But yeah, so 1080p, when we think about it, that was like the standard. That was high definition before, standard definition. Now, what they have done for 4K simulated, or 4K E-Shift is the marketing term that a lot of these vendors are using, is two 1080p images, but the computer basically flips the pixels side by side, up and down, to trick our eyes into seeing a little bit more detail. And it happens so fast, you don't even notice it. And the benefit of that is some of these vendors can get a little bit brighter. We'll touch on a little bit of the lumens part of that, while still being affordable and still having that perceived detail. For purists, a lot of them are going to want 4K. I want the true 4K, not altered at all. And we have vendors that have that is standard 4K. And then after 4K, there's 8K, where it's, a lot better resolution that's out there. And yeah, so that's kind of the breakdown of the resolutions and kind of how that works. And we kind of pick apart based on, what we see, what's going to work best, and really what the client is watching. Like, if they're watching a lot of old movies, 4K E-Shift, totally fine. They're not even in, some of those older movies are, not even 1080p. But for those clients that are on the cutting edge and they want that movie server in their house where everything is in 4K, or they're streaming everything, 4K is a lot more attainable now, getting into the home than it used to be even 5 years ago. So 4K is definitely what I would say kind of more of the more popular, resolution that we see.
Well, and I'm glad you touched on the part about what it looks like to your eye, right? As with projectors, a lot of that stuff can be a lot friendlier to your eye. The contrast, when transitions happen, projectors, for some reason, our eyes perceive it as a lot smoother. It's a little less harsh than a TV, right? So, I'm glad you touched on that. It's a big thing, and people are like, well, why does it look better? It's 4K versus 4K. I'm like, well, there's some things about the screen, right? There's some things about the way it gets projected as opposed to a TV where it's backlit and things like that. So,
Wow.
Yeah. Does it matter too much? Like you were saying, like, depending on what you're watching, right? Like a movie or something. Like, if I'm just streaming Netflix and I'm just like a streamer, like, is it, do I care that much between 1080, 4K enhanced?
Huge difference. We've done A and B testing in a customer's house, like, just to show them, hey, like, this is what we talked about in store. And it is a noticeable difference. A lot of our customers can tell the difference. And it all kind of depends. Some of those streaming services, you have to upgrade a package to get to 4K. It's like an additional fee now than it didn't used to be. That's something that's going to be brought into consideration too. But you absolutely will be able to tell, from 1080p to 4K. And then if the content going from 4K to 8K, the hard part is what content is available in 8K right now. Like, you can't buy an 8K Blu-ray disc. You can stream 8K right now on YouTube. They have a whole dedicated engine for that. That's really the only source right now. But as more content gets made in 8K, what happened to 4K is going to happen to 8K. It'll be a lot more available and whatnot.
Yeah, become basically the new standard for it eventually, right? But current day, depending on what you're trying to do, you talked about games and sports people, right? You're definitely going to notice a difference, and even just the refresh rate, trying to watch the ball, it won't get blurry across the screen. Those kinds of things are always super important to someone that's looking for something like that. Yeah,
absolutely. Is there much of a price difference then, if like the true 4K, the 4K enhanced? I would assume the 1080, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's always a step up. 1080 to 4K to 4K E-Shift to 4K, native that we call it. There's a little bit of a price jump going from those.
Definitely. So if you're looking for like the low end 4K, for example, what does that typically run?
Really, our go-to right now is actually this Epson model. It's the LS 12,000 or the 11,000, and those are right around. That's the model number, and then those are right around $4,000 to $5,000, might be $6,000 or so just for the projector. So, but there's models below that. There's the 1080p models that are around the $1,500, $1,800 price point. That can be attainable and almost as good quality. And also we might be getting ahead here, but when you go down in that kind of price range that I talked about earlier, the light source changes. Projectors, the bulb is the heart of their machine. When that bulb gets not overused, but runs out, you put a new bulb in, it's as bright as it was day one. The new light source for projectors that has a lot of features is laser light source. So there's actually like a blue laser that gets split off. And it's significantly brighter. And the other cool thing with laser is like you're going to see more detail, and it's instant on, instant off. When a lot of people don't think about the bulb has to warm up for a couple minutes before it's like at its prime readiness.
Sure.
And typically when you turn off the projector, you'll hear the fan running for another 10-15 minutes because it's trying to cool that bulb down. But yeah, so there's a couple different price points, feature set that when we start talking about that. But
well, let's dive into light source, because I think that's a natural progression from where we're at. So there's lamp, which is like 3,000 to 6,000 hour lifespan, probably hour content.
Yep.
Laser and LED, I think, are kind of like the popular terms. Is that?
Yep.
Okay.
Nailed it. Yeah, those are really the two options that in the category that you can really choose from.
And you're saying that you can like replace them, like just replace those units. You don't have to replace the whole projector.
On bulbs, you can replace. And, bulbs, we consider that consumable. So, when we talk about the longevity of this room, you're going to expect to spend anywhere from $100 to $300, maybe every 5 years to get a new bulb. I think the average industry, the last time I was reading this, it was like most people watch about in their theater averages about 1,000 hours a year. So some people who watch closer to that number are going to be replacing that bulb a little bit sooner. But people who don't use it as often, they'll get a little bit longer life out of it too. But with laser, there is no light, so that you can't replace that. The only maintenance you have on laser though is the filter, like the little air filter that's on them, because there's a little fan that blows. But laser light source lasts, our top model that we sell is 25,000 hours.
Wow.
Oh, that's a lot.
So if you average in 1,000 a year, that might be
25 years. You might just need a replacement.
There'll be new technology.
Yeah.
It'll be obsolete.
We'll be using holograms by then.
And laser was kind of new. I want to say back when I first started home theater, a while ago, almost 7-8 years ago, and it was really, really expensive. We had a model from a vendor that was an ultra short throw, and that was in the $25,000 price point. Wow, for a laser projector. And now we have them around the 5,000 price point. And over time, more vendors are getting into it, and the market's getting a lot more competitive. So we're excited to see where that goes. But laser is the new thing, and we love it. It is brighter. It is sharper, so much better.
Wow.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask, is like the visual differences between laser and lamp. It's just brighter, sharper. Is that kind of the general sentiment overall?
Generally, that's what we hear from customers who come in and look at our display units and say, and that's what we can actually showcase in store. And the feedback we hear before we set it up is, this is brighter, this is sharper. I just see more detail. I feel like I'm at a movie theater.
Yeah, deeper contrast. It works better in. Not everybody's room is going to be perfectly black like a home theater, right? You may have windows, even though you have blinds, there's light creeping in. The laser handles that a lot better than a bulb will, right?
Okay.
So,
awesome, yeah, because I think that's another good topic point for us, is to talk about like the brightness and how that works within the different kinds of media rooms that you may have set up, or if you want to watch it like outside and what that typically looks like. So, let's talk about lumens generally, and it's just about it's how we measure brightness, right? So like there's under maybe 1,500 is a typical category, 22,000 to 2,800, and then there's like 3,000 plus typically good ranges for good, better, best.
Yeah, essentially, to keep it basic, right? The brighter the room, the brighter the projector needs to be, right? So if we're doing something outdoor, you're going to be up in that 3,000 lumens area, something higher if need be, right? If you're going to be in a completely dark room, then you don't need the 3,000. It's going to be abrasive to your eyes. So the situation does matter. But to keep it as basic as possible, the brighter the room, the brighter the area, the brighter the situation, the brighter the projector you need.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
generally that's the rule that we follow. Like if one of the other brightness factors is like, does this room have lighting control? Like, oh, do we have shades that can come down when we're watching a movie during the day? You know, is this a multi-use room where most of the time the shades are open and I still want a really big screen? You know, I want to be able to watch, you know, a movie or a TV show, you know, on this big screen, and then screen material comes into play for the brightness as well. One fun fact, 1 lumen is the brightness of 1 candle that's just lit.
Oh.
So when you see something that's like 3,000 lumens, that thing's bright. That is bright.
3,000 candles.
Exactly.
Yep.
Wowie.
3,000 candles in the wind.
And brightness of the room, you know, what lighting control we have, even just the lighting of, you know, the cans in the room or the other light fixtures in the room. Can we control that when we're, you know, doing the design system? That's something that we do intake on, and we figure out, you know, hey, there's a solution for this to get, you know, what you want and how this room currently works. We're going to elevate it.
Yeah, you can get detailed too. Is it west facing? Is it north facing? Are there trees? Right, you can get very, very detailed about it and get it dialed in pretty nicely to exactly what the customer needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just like you were saying, Cliff, like the brighter the room is, the more lumens you probably want to be looking for. So if I'm looking at like a 3,000 lumen projector, can I watch that outside during daytime? And it's
Yep. Yeah,
wow.
That's exactly what it's for. Yeah. So exactly right.
That's
so
pretty crazy. Yeah.
Same thing in the living room, right? If you've got your kids in there that want to watch Bluey, you know, whatever
During the day.
that's still popular during the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Awesome. But obviously, the higher the lumens, the higher the cost typically.
Yeah, that's typically what we see.
Typically, yeah.
Okay.
There's some situations where it might not be, but yeah, typically.
Yeah. We've talked a little bit about like throw distance, and I think that's a natural next feature for us to kind of dive into. So there's the way I understand it, there's like standard, there's which is like maybe like a 10 to 15 feet.
Yeah. Nice.
Then there's short throw, which can kind of go a little bit less, maybe like 4 feet to 8 feet can be, and then the ultra short throw, which is like anywhere from like 6 to 12 inches.
Yeah, you're very good at this.
Thank you.
He's just flexing.
Definitely didn't just right off the top.
Yeah. He's not reading all this information on the spreadsheet he's got in front of him.
Okay. Hilary, shots fired. So I'm curious though, because I think that is a question that not a lot of people think about when they are beginning to shop for projectors. Like, how do I make sure that I get the maximum, size with the projection area that I have? And I wonder if we can kind of break that down and help people understand what's going to work for them and how do we typically help people find the right solution for them?
Yeah, I can second that. Not a lot of people really take that into consideration because most people don't really have to think about that stuff. So when you have us, take a look at the room, we take care of all that. But yeah, let's say we have a room that is mixed use and I have a wall that I used to have a TV on and now I want it to be a really nice projection screen set up. That's where we would recommend the ultra short throw. That category has grown substantially since the last, 5 years. It's been growing very, very fast and it's a lot more, affordable now. So yeah, ultra short throw, depending on, it's a little bit confusing because depending on where the manufacturer says, hey, it's actually like 6 inches from the front of the projector to the wall, to the screen wall. But the actual projector itself sits maybe 18 inches or something because of the depth of it. Ultra short throw is really, really cool when it's done right.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
The technology that's been added to it, the accessibility to it, there's some cool things about being able to hide them within cabinets and they pop out when they're ready. We've got one over on the floor where the screen disappears and it just looks like a nice, entertainment center, right? But then it opens up and the projector pops out the front. The screen comes out of the back. It's a cool presentation. There's so much technology that's been added to the ultra short throw and short throw field that we really do have options for you, right? It's not your room has to be a certain size or we can't do anything for you, right? We can find solutions in a lot of different areas, a lot more areas now than we used to be able to. Because of that advancement in short throws, and that's why they've become more popular as well.
Yeah, and the standard throw, traditional throw is typically what we call it. We have that category is still growing. Like it's not going away. Ultra short throw, really fixes a lot of, clients who want a big screen, but they've only had a TV before. And so this ultra short throw category is for them. But if we have like a new construction, or you had an existing room that had a traditional throw projector, typically at 120, let's say we're doing like a 120-inch screen, most of the time on a new build, I'm marking maybe 15 feet back from the screen wall for the electrician to get me an outlet, for power if it's a new build.
Okay.
So anything larger than that, you can expect that distance continues to grow. And sometimes it gets a little bit tricky because, sometimes theater rooms are exactly 16, deep by, whatever. But, we have ways to get around that to accomplish the same solution as the largest screen real estate that we can take advantage of. We do the math for that.
Yeah, I've seen there's a couple people I follow on social media that have used projectors in their bedroom in lieu of a TV. And I was like, oh, I hadn't thought of that, but I don't love the look of the TV in the bedroom.
Yep.
But there are times that you just want like a lazy day in bed to watch movies. And I just loved how discreet it was. And it just went right onto the wall. It wasn't this like big unsightly thing in this room you're trying to make kind of really serene and peaceful. And I thought that was a really clever use. I'm not like a movie room type of person, but I would be all in on that.
Well, and you even think about trying to get a 100-inch TV delivered into your master bedroom, right? How many turns we have to make, how many stairs we have to climb, how tight of a corner is it? I don't have to worry about that with the screen, right? It comes in a much smaller box. Some of those 100-inch TVs are in a box 5 feet tall.
Yeah, you can't get around a corner even.
And it's heavy, right? So, there's some advantages, real advantages to just lifestyle stuff, of actually getting it in the space of being able to be, being able to hide it, right? Being able to make it look like it's part of the room as opposed to standing out, right? So, you're absolutely right.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
So for portability and mounting, is there an easy way to sum up? Because I feel like this is kind of one of the friction points for people that like, I don't know if I'm at the level where I'm going to have somebody come in and like do it all for me, but I'm still looking to buy a projector and want to kind of figure that out. Is there an easy way to sum up how folks can approach the different throw types?
I'm always going to recommend that you have an expert help, right? That's why they're experts at it. It's going to be right all the time, every time. They're going to set you up the way you need to be. Some of that stuff is tricks of the trade, starting on the left corner, starting on the right corner, right? As opposed to just working your way around and getting to the end and, oh man, this isn't right. I'm always going to recommend, we offer the services, but using a service to make sure it's set up correctly for you. It's not an everyday thing for most consumers. Maybe once or twice, or maybe a third time in their life, they may be buying it. But we do it every day, right? We're getting busier and busier. So I would always recommend a professional be involved, just to make sure everything's going to go right for you.
Yeah, and even just stopping in the store and having a conversation with any of the sales staff, we have seen a lot of stuff, so we're more than happy to take a look at everything. Mounting a screen, it's building the screen. I don't know how I would go about this, but if you can mentally prepare for like 4 hours of work that you're doing yourself, go ahead and do it. And then the projector part, there's a bunch of online resources that will tell you, you plug in what screen size you want and you tell it what model of projector it is. It'll give you a range of, you can mount the projector here, here, here. And then, just getting an actual bracket and everything is something as easy as looking to us. We can recommend that pretty quick. And then, that's really the tricky part, is actually building the screen and then figuring out what throw distance. That would be what I would tell with caution, is that's the hardest part of probably building the theater, or finishing the theater room.
And even from there, right, like the fine tuning of making sure the corners are in the right spot and you're not tilted to the left, or it's not this way and this side of the screen's fatter than the other side, or you're a little overhang, or right. Again, a professional will line all of that up to a T for you. That part can get just the fine tuning, just like anything when you're fine tuning, can be pretty difficult and time consuming. So that 4 hours, you can add another 2 on to.
Yeah. Getting it just right.
Yep.
If you just bought the ultra short throw option and just like set that down? And like, is that like, if I just throw a bunch of money, is that like the best way for me to like not have to talk to anybody if I want to have the?
They're a little bit more tricky.
You're millennial.
The short throws, they take our team probably a little bit more time because
Interesting.
the tiniest move completely messes up the image.
Sure.
Yes.
So those are probably a little bit harder to kind of
Interesting.
buy
Okay.
instead DIY.
Right, because you think about it, it's not mounted, right, all the time. It could just be setting on something. So yeah, that slightest little inch or little Timmy bumps into the counter and it bumps it a bit.
But if you plan for that, you're good. Like we
Yes.
sell furniture that is actually made for specific types of projectors to where no one can bump into it and adjust the image, or even if kids are running around, or if you got pets and stuff that bump into stuff.
Yeah.
That
we
dark
have
neighbor kid that
You remember?
yeah.
So right, as much as you may want to try to avoid getting into a deep conversation with someone and not having and just it being awkward, right? This isn't the kind of thing where you want to sneak in and sneak out, right? You want to take the time and really talk with someone and really get the perfect solution for your room. It just,
you won't regret it.
you won't regret it. Exactly. When it's right, it's life-changing, right?
Yeah.
Once you see it, you're like, I can't live without this anymore.
Right. Why welcome a headache when you could
Just
avoid it?
yeah, exactly. Spend a little bit of time on the front end to save yourself a lot of time on the back end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good question though.
So you can't avoid us.
I only asked, and I'm sorry to harp on it, because that there are people out there that are like, I just want it, but I also don't want to talk to a human person ever in my life.
No,
Like,
and there are
people
some
that
resources.
will get Grubhub and like have them leave it on the door because like
While you're
God
home.
forbid they would
Yeah.
they would have to interact with some
Yeah.
person.
But and you're
So-
right. There are some resources out there, websites and things where you can
Absolutely.
enter all the information and it'll spit out what you need.
Absolutely.
But just worry about
to-
that fine tuning.
Yeah, to your point, like there are the inches that kind of make can make or break.
Right.
the
We're
situation that
assuming
you're
this
trying to create.
customer is very about what they want to watch, right?
Mhm.
And so they want it to be perfect.
Mhm.
And that's where we can come in and make that easier for you.
Okay. I want to wrap up with like any features that we didn't cover yet that you think are great to highlight when it comes to projectors, and the tech that customers are looking for.
Yeah, good question. Really, the full solution for setup is the projector, right? So we'll figure out what model's going to work best. But then the other part, half of the experience, is the screen. What type of screen material? We have so many vendors to choose from. It can be a lot. But if you talk to one of us, we're more than happy to make a recommendation. This is what we see in the field. This is our go-to, kind of model. And choosing a screen material is all mostly about lighting control. So if you're going to be hosting a Husker game or a Hawkeye game, and you're not going to have all the lights off in the room, you're going to have a little bit of lights on. Depending on how those lights are laid out, that's going to affect what lights are actually on the screen. And the screen's job is to reflect the image back to you. And one other benefit of projection that's different than a TV is when you think of a TV, those lights are shining directly, at your eyeballs. Whereas a projector, that light, you're seeing a reflection. It's so much softer and, easier to watch for longer periods of time than a TV. So we've heard that before. Screen material, lighting control. The other half of the experience is audio. Like we didn't really talk much about it, but we have to take in consideration what audio experience can we get. Like if you want that movie theater feel, let's design it like that. We have some products from some vendors that kind of fill the category of retrofit, or if it's new construction, or kind of really anything in between. But that's kind of what I wanted to add.
And then mounting options. I think there's some really cool things you can do, right? There's obviously fixed screens that don't move, don't go anywhere, it's there, right? But there's also hideaway screens, roll-up screens, roll-down screens. There's recessed screens that look so good, right? Sleek, level with your wall. It's in the wall. There's just some really cool things that we can do with those little details that'll just make it that much cooler, that much more perfect for you. So yeah, the mounting options I think can be really fun, depending on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you both for being here. Erik, Cliff, I also want to thank my co-hosts, Hilary and Becca, and our producers, Ann and Scott. And all of you listeners, make sure to like, rate, subscribe us wherever you listen to the I'm Home podcast. And we'll wrap, as we always do, to making home life your best life, one story at a time.
Thanks for joining us today for I Am Home with Tyler Weisskopf, Hilary Waltemath, and Becca Sudbeck. No one knows home quite like NFM. So if you'd like more information on home design at NFM, please check out nfm.com and leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice.